1988.
88. And at the time, what was your circulation when you began?
The very first issue was 1,000 copies, one newsletter, 1,000 copies mailed. I had a mailing list of listeners to my radio show. People would call in every week, and I would, have them join the Street Beat mailing list. That was the name of my radio show, was Street Beat. And I would basically write down everyone's name and address, put them in a little database, and built a mailing list. So I had about 1,000 people in the Boston area who listened to my show. People knew me as Go-Go Dave back then. That was my radio name. So anybody from Boston, they know me as Go-Go Dave.
Okay.
The show was pretty popular. But yeah, 1,000. And I mailed it out to basically all the record labels, people in the industry, to get them aware of what I was doing and expose it there. And went from 1,000, maybe 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, built distribution for it, record stores, started selling it, in record stores, sending it up, boxing it up, sending it out.
Was there immediate response?
Yeah, because
it was a response right away?
Yeah, absolutely, because like I said, at that time there was no information, reliable information anywhere about hip hop for people. And, people didn't think that, the hip hop audience wanted to read, cared enough to read. People say, men don't read, young men don't read magazines. And, that was a traditional thinking, in the media world. But there was nothing there, so people took to it because it was done out of a love and a respect for the culture in a way that communicated directly with the people, not from somebody from the outside trying to dictate or make you think a certain way or whatever. So people were drawn to it because there was nothing else like that. As long as we kept it, authentic, that's what helped it grow and helped it solidify its strength as a brand, to where people would trust it, to the relationships with all the different people in the hip hop industry that I was able to build and help to kind of create a coalition and sort of movement. And the Source really was a vehicle for the culture in that sense.
I know that the Source wasn't the first hip hop publication. We had Right On and Black Beat and things like that in the 1980s.
They weren't hip hop though. I mean, they were black.
Oh, they would cover
magazines.
Music overall.
Yeah, black, music magazines, but they definitely weren't hip hop magazines.
I stand correctly. Okay. In 1988 and beyond, after Source came out, we started to see a couple of other different publications that spawned Vibe and Double XL, and there were some others. Did you ever did you ever consider any of them to be a threat?
No, I never. I mean, every situation. I mean, there's history with both of those publications. I mean, Vibe, basically, Russell Simmons came to me. He told me, hey, I want to bring the Source to Quincy Jones. He wants to, invest, and boom, 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 and brought me out to LA. Met with Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones had Time Warner. They wanted to, learn what we were doing, invest into the Source.
Right.
And in the end, they made an offer to buy the magazine for, not a very large amount. Basically said, we want to buy you and we're going to have you come work for us for our new magazine.
So you get out their way, basically.
Right. At the time, they were calling it the Vibe Volume before they changed it to Vibe. And, but what I knew, even though it was a little bit, I put a lot of time, and I thought they legitimately wanted to, partner and help build what we were doing. But at the same time, Quincy is an incredible, accomplished musician, but he didn't, understand hip hop at that level at that time. And his vision for the magazine was very different from mine and from being really a hip hop magazine. So Vibe, while it really helped the Source in a lot of ways because it brought major companies, to advertise that might not have, advertised in a quote unquote hip hop magazine. Double XL was started by a couple of guys that worked for the Source, that were editors at the Source for quite a number of years in the early days. One of them was a partner of mine who went to Harvard Law School, and him and another guy went on. We had a falling out at the Source, and a few years later they went and launched Double XL magazine. But again, the Source, I always felt confident in what I was doing with the source, and kind of people, we set trends. We did, things before all these other people. Everything that Double XL a lot of ways did really came from the blueprint of the source, and so the only time I felt threatened was when the internet came out. And
Right.
that was really part of what was my downfall, because I got too caught up in the internet, and there was tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars all of a sudden in the late '90s being invested into hip hop media companies, the
Right.
the .com world as a whole was just going crazy, and I kind of bet the farm on the internet at the time. Took out a big loan, and launched the source.com, and had a vision of taking the brand and the culture on a global basis through the internet. But I was basically too early before the internet really became a way that you could make money, and that really was sort of the beginning of the downfall for me at the source.
Right.
Was the .coms. It's sort of feeling threatening because there was a lot of other .coms focused on hip hop that were raising these huge amounts of money. I mean, we were doing good. The source was at its height, $30-40 million a year company. Revenue wise, valuation was more than that, and it was 100% owned by me. But like I said, I kind of bet the farm, took out a big loan to go into the .com, and that sort of set me back when it failed.
I heard some people say, I've interviewed a couple of different publishers, and I heard people say that the internet kind of corrupted the advertising situation. And the back of the source, there was that source classifieds where there was a lot of businesses and upstart products for sale. I was told that once the internet came along, the internet was a more powerful marketing vehicle. But still, some people like actually buying magazines. I'm one of them. I still have my sources. Even before y'all changed the shape of them. You dig
It
what I'm
wasn't
saying?
so much what the internet really was doing as a business, or even as an influence in a lot of ways. It was just that I gambled too much on it. I got too caught up in seeing how big it could be, but the internet took a long time, for years and years, and even now it's kind of like websites sort of came up, and now websites are like magazines. They're pretty much obsolete as far as a way to make money. There's hardly anybody making money as a website. That's what everybody thought. It was just going to be, we're going to make a website, we're going to get ad money. It sort of started to go that way for a minute, and then it just leveled out. Google, Facebook, they're getting all the ad money. Nobody's getting ad money from websites anymore, nor magazines. So, it's just the internet has, totally changed and still changing the media and all various other businesses. The entire structure of these businesses, cable television, magazines, newspapers, radio, all of those are being totally undermined by the internet. But the internet isn't where people are making tons of money either necessarily. So.
Did the Source magazine, or we about to get heavy now, we have to. Did the Source magazine have a personal relationship with Eminem?
No. I mean, personal no personal, because I never met Eminem. I met him one time, briefly somewhere backstage, like a hello and shook his hand. But I mean, personal in the sense that, we actually discovered him, put him in our Inside Hype column. He was the first white, rapper ever to be on the cover of the Source, white person to be on the cover of the Source magazine. When his career, the inception of his career, before he was signed by Dre, he was in Unsigned Hype. My man Riggs Morales, who went on to work for Eminem and Shady for many years, and is now, hugely successful in the music business as an A&R at Atlantic. He's the one that kind of caught on to Eminem early, put him in the Unsigned Hype. Then it was, when Interscope launched him, we were helping to support his career, and so there was never any particular person other than we actually supported him in a big way at the first few years of his career.
So technically, he was just basically the Jackie Robinson when it comes to white MC at Source.
In that sense, of course there were, other white artists that had accomplished things, going back to the Beastie Boys, even Third Base and others who had some accomplishments, but you know, he was the first one that kind of, you know, just came at that time and was able to capture a certain, you know, audience at a certain time, and you know, at that time we felt it was you know, it was the right thing. We you know, we put him on the cover.
Right.
So,
There's a narrative that exists. I don't know if you heard it, but I've heard it in my travels. That says that Source Magazine had a hand in placing Eminem in the greatest of all time category as far as MCs.
well, I mean,
Is that foreign to you? Is that topic foreign to you?
no, I mean, no, I've never heard that in particular. Like I said, I mean, our hand was, we stamped him at the beginning of his career and helped give him, you know, credibility at the beginning of his career. And but I mean, I had never heard anything beyond, you know, beyond that connection.
Right. He had Eminem and Benzino had some differences, right? Correct. During the course of Benzino being a partner at Source Magazine, did it affect the relationship between you and your partner?
Did
Eminem and Benzino having some differences as MCs, did it affect your business relationship with Benzino?
my business relationship with him? No, I mean, that was, you know, that was my friend, and you know, and my partner, and you know, it didn't, you know, that didn't really have any effect per se on our relationship. I mean, you know, we pretty much were in the same, you know, position. I was doing my thing at the Source, and he was doing, you know, his thing. But you know, I mean, that situation is pretty well documented as far as, you know, a lot of the things that happened.
I ain't reaching. A lot of my viewers are between the ages of 17 and 35. You dig? So after they look at this interview and they become abreast of who David Mays is, they gonna find out all this other shit that comes behind it. So while you're here, I want to see if you can shed some light. Again, I'm not reaching. It was my perception as a fan that during the course of Eminem and Benzino having their differences, Benzino gradually, I don't know, left the Source, or y'all had some differences at the Source. Am I going in the wrong direction? Can you bring me back up to date?
Yeah, not so much at all. I mean, you know, he pretty much stayed with the Source to the end. When I left the Source, he left the Source at the same time, which is when the investment group, private equity fund, came in and bought a piece of us. Basically, you know, took the company over. You know, which again stemmed back to that internet loan. So, you know, that internet loan triggered a whole series of things, and this investment deal, and you know, a lot of other stuff was going on. I mean, you know, the Source was being investigated by the FBI for years. You know,
For what?
I mean,
Hip hop police type shit?
Of course. I mean, you know, they were investigating every major, you know, black company and every major independently owned. I mean, the Source was powerful. You know, I own the Source 100%.
I'm a motherfucking G. Yeah, I'm talking murder, but it's me. I'm really living everything you see. What you say? They love to make a lie out of me. To the day that I expire, I'm a G. I'm a motherfucking G. They would love to make a lie out of Razor. Shoot and catch him out dark with the laser.